Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. And Cayman Enterprise City, Cayman's innovation hub. Discover your opportunity at enterprisecayman.ky. And Kirk Home Center, they've got a great deal in store for you.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. Welcome to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. It's Tuesday, August 25th, and we are in that final week of August. Summer absolutely flew by. School has begun. For some people, it's starting tomorrow. For some, it's next week, which, you know, I'm all about returning in September. And yet somehow, despite how fast everything flew by, everybody is out of office right now, it seems. Everybody's on vacation. I do not understand why the final 2 weeks of August are the most popular times to vacation. But I would like people to, you know, maybe consider start at the beginning of summer, midsummer. Everybody going, the final 2 weeks of August is really strange to me. And it's been like that my whole entire life. I've noticed this interesting vacation pattern. So if you're going back to school, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's next week, whether you're already there, I'm wishing you the best in this school year ahead. So, in saying that, with everybody gone, it made it a little hard for me to plan a panel discussion this morning. I tried last week. I moved it to today because some of the guests said today was a better day. It still didn't pan out, and it was a really important panel discussion that I wanted to have, and it is on cannabis reform. You have one more week to give your feedback on the discussion paper when it comes to cannabis reform in the Cayman Islands. In saying all of that, I have all my notes. I have the discussion paper broken down for us to understand it and to talk about it. I did want to have a panel discussion because I thought it was important to bring a balanced perspective to cannabis reform. I had a mental health professional. I had an attorney. I had somebody that was on the drug council that I was looking at bringing in. And then as well, there was a pastor that I was looking at. So, and I think somebody that was a reformed user. So in saying this, I was trying to get all the perspectives possible and just have a healthy discussion on how we can move forward with this. Didn't happen. People said, you know, after the consult period, maybe that'll be a better time. However, we need people's feedback right now so they can help form what might be legislation for cannabis reform in the Cayman Islands, okay? We need it right now, not after the consult period has gone by. Hence, panel discussion or not, your girl is still going to bring you the facts today. And I definitely want people to share their perspectives, share your opinion with me. All right, so that's going to be the bulk of our discussion this morning. It's going to be open line from 7:30 to 9 a.m. And then at 9 a.m., I'm going to be welcoming Cayman Enterprise City. We're going to be hearing about their latest initiative. So first, we're going to have a recap of the last few days and maybe talk about what's on your mind this morning as well. So before we begin on the cannabis reform talk, the numbers to call if you got something on your mind that you want to discuss, the numbers to call are 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp call or WhatsApp text me at 925-3261. So let's take a few minutes to catch up on some of the stories making news around Cayman over the last few days, particularly as it relates to business and the economic front. So there's quite a bit happening. We have seen a record financing deal from CUC as the company prepares for growing electricity demand. Cayman continues its push to strengthen its position in the international reinsurance industry. And Cayman may finally and officially be introducing recycling with the Department of Environmental Health. So let's get into these stories. The first one being CUC borrows a record $160 million US. So that's one of the bigger business stories over the last few days, and it came from Caribbean Utilities Company, or CUC. You can find this press release on their website. And they have secured US $160 million in new financing. That's the largest private placement in the company's history. So in simple terms, CUC has raised $160 million US by borrowing money directly from large institutional investors, which it will repay over the coming years with interest. The financing comes in 3 portions with interest rates of just over 6%, and the repayment dates stretch as far out to 2051. CUC received the first US $100 million on August 19th, so just last week, while another US $60 million will be available in May 2027. Now, why does CUC need US $160 million for? Well, to keep us lit, that's for sure. But 2 major reasons why CUC needs the money. The first is to pay off shorter term debt. But a second reason is that a major part of the financing will support CUC's multi-year investment program. That includes upgrading and modernizing the electricity grid, making the system more resilient, strengthening infrastructure against things like severe weather and climate-related risks, and preparing the electricity network for Grand Cayman's continuing growth. And growing we are. Cayman's peak electricity demand was about 129.5 megawatts in 2025, and that's projected to rise around 143 megawatts by 2030. Don't ask me if that's a great jump. Apparently it is. I do not know enough about megawatts to be able to comment on that, but CUC is projecting that to be a pretty big jump from 129.5 megawatts in 2025 to around 143 by 2030. So, in other words, as Cayman grows and we get more homes, more businesses, and developments require electricity, more infrastructure, CUC also has to invest in the infrastructure needed to keep supplying that power reliably. It makes sense. The question everyone wants to ask is, will this make my rates go up, especially at a time where we know we're seeing a rise in electricity rates? Nothing to do with CUC at all, but situations in the world that have caused this. Will I be paying more? Some people might be asking, and those are really valid questions because ultimately the cost of CUC's infrastructure and financing is recovered through the rates customers pay. CUC says it secured favorable financing with debt secured at interest rates ranging from about 6.09 to 6.34%. They say they're trying to manage those costs responsibly while maintaining affordability. There's also an environmental component to the financing. Of the first US $100 million, US $30 million is being raised through what's called green notes. Essentially, that means that money is specifically intended for projects that meet certain environmental criteria. CUC says it expects that funding to go towards 3 main areas: energy efficiency, adapting infrastructure to climate change, and cleaner transportation initiatives. The company says those investments are intended to create a more efficient and resilient electricity system while also supporting the goals of Cayman's national energy policy. CUC President and CEO, Mr. Richard Hugh, says the deal also demonstrates confidence from institutional investors in both CUC and the long-term strength of the Cayman Islands economy. And for consumers, of course, the thing we'll ultimately want to watch is how those investments translate into reliability, resilience, cleaner energy, and affordability over the years ahead. A clean, clear one that I think we are most concerned about is affordability. Let me know what you think. Do you think this means that our rates will go higher in order to help pay for the debt there? You know, let me know what you think. Give us a call. 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp call or text me at 925-3261. Now, another story that's in the news. We're going to go to financial services. And I'm pretty sure, I almost want to say, I'm 99% sure I saw on government's website yesterday that National Heroes Day, the theme is going to be centered around financial services, I think. Am I right? I want to say I'm going to check that on the break. But in saying that, we're turning the spotlight right now on financial services. So something that could potentially be significant for the continued growth of Cayman's insurance and reinsurance industry is receiving what's called a qualified jurisdiction status. So the Cayman Islands has formally applied to become what is called a qualified jurisdiction under the U.S. National Association of Insurance Commissioners, or NAIC. The Premier and Financial Services Minister, the Honorable Andre E. Banks, recently returned from the NAIC's summer meetings in Columbus, Ohio, where a Cayman delegation met with U.S. regulators and other stakeholders. Now, I had to go look up what does qualified jurisdiction status actually mean. I'm sure a lot of us don't know, so I'm here to tell us. It means, in simple terms, it's recognition by U.S. insurance regulators that another jurisdiction's reinsurance regulatory system meets certain standards, so that we're not operating a little candy shop here. You feel me? We're doing things the right way. We're following global standards, or in this sense, I guess global means U.S. standards. So, if Cayman gets that designation, eligible Cayman reinsurers could operate in the United States with reduced collateral requirements, subject, of course, to regulatory conditions. And that matters because the United States is enormously important to Cayman's reinsurance business. Cayman domiciled reinsurance companies reportedly held around US $113 billion in assets in the second quarter of this year. Compare that with just US $23 billion in 2020. So that's almost a five-fold increase in 6 years. US $113 billion in assets in the second quarter of this year compared to US $23 billion in 2020. I think it's really safe to say that reinsurance industry in Cayman is skyrocketing. And it's a hugely lucrative industry. I remember a few months ago when I did an interview with Greenlight, and I learned a lot there. And I said, all right, right after this show, I might be changing careers here and there and going to reinsurance. We'll see. We still have time. So more than 90% of Cayman's reinsurance business is connected to the United States. The designation of qualified jurisdiction status potentially affects the competitiveness and future growth of one of the fastest growing areas of Cayman's financial services industry, reinsurance. Government estimates that the application process could take about 16 to 18 months, and it's being approached in phases. The first phase focuses on property and casualty insurance, where government says Cayman's regulatory framework is already fairly closely aligned with U.S. requirements. The second phase will deal with life insurance and annuities, and the Premier has indicated that Cayman may have to make additional policy or legislative changes there. Now, what is the risk of not having qualified jurisdiction status? Because I had to ask that question too. What does this really matter? Do we really need this? If Cayman doesn't get qualified jurisdiction status, it doesn't mean Cayman reinsurers can't do business in the U.S. anymore, but doing that business can be more expensive because Cayman reinsurers may have to put up significantly more money as collateral. Getting the designation essentially makes Cayman a more competitive and more formally recognized reinsurance jurisdiction in the U.S. markets. So, in my opinion, I think this challenge is pretty familiar with Cayman Financial Services. We always have to meet and demonstrate that we meet high international regulatory standards, that we do the right thing over here, while holding on to the unique benefits that make companies want to establish their operations here in Cayman. That is not a strange task for the Cayman Islands government to accomplish. Now, the next story. I want to give you one more story, but we got to go to a commercial break right now. So after the commercial break, I'm going to come in with one more interesting story that I'm like, how in the world how do you operate for 7 to almost 8 years without a license? Like, that's what I'm going to talk about next. So let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in a few.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Not sure where you fit in tech? Pathways in Tech by Enterprise Cayman can help you find your route. Whether you're interested in project management, computer support, or network systems, this program helps individuals explore practical, career-focused skills for real opportunities in Cayman's tech and innovation sector. It's beginner-friendly, job-relevant, special economic zone connected, and scholarships are available. Your path in tech starts here. Visit enterprisecayman.ky to apply today.
As Minister for Health, Environment and Sustainability, I'd like to personally invite you to join me at one of our upcoming public town hall meetings. We're discussing proposed changes to legislation covering environmental health, tobacco and vaping, public health, health practice, and I want to hear from you. Whether you have questions, concerns, or ideas to share, these meetings are an opportunity for open conversation about issues that affect us all. Join us at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, the 26th of August at the John Gray Memorial Church Hall in West Bay, or at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, the 27th of August at Constitution Hall in Georgetown. Come out, meet your neighbors, share your perspective, and be a part of shaping the future of health in our islands. Light refreshments will be available, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. And if you're just joining us on the show this morning, we have some open line. Right now, I'm giving you some of the latest news stories as it's happened in the past week or so in Cayman as it relates to business and the economy. And then I'm going to be having a discussion about cannabis reform. I'm going to be going into the discussion paper that's out right now that is open for public consultation for one more week. So when it comes to decriminalization of cannabis in the Cayman Islands, I think that's a discussion that you want to be a part of because opinions are usually strong one way or strong another way, or people just need more information. So that's what we're going to get into in just a couple of minutes. Now, the last story that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention is the Cayman Water operated years without a current license agreement. About 7 to 8 years or so. That's true. So I find that to be a very interesting story. So Cayman Water Company, the company that supplies piped water to 7 Mile Beach and West Bay, operated for almost 7 years without a current written license agreement with government. How does that happen? Cayman Water Company, which is part of Consolidated Water, continued supplying customers between 2018 and 2025, while negotiations over a new agreement dragged on. The company's original agreement dated all the way back to 1990, one of the best decades. That license officially expired in 2010 and was extended several times, but the final express extension expired on January 31st, 2018. So can you imagine about 8 years of an extended license? And in those 8 years, y'all couldn't come to an agreement. And then from 2018 to 2026, y'all still couldn't come. I mean, you just came to agreement now, but that's how long it took. That's almost 2 decades. That's insane to me. Now, from that point, from 2018 until February 2025, Cayman Water continued operating under the terms of the old agreement while negotiations continued. The company also continued paying the required 7.5% royalty on its water revenues, and those royalty payments are significant. They totaled almost $1.77 million last year. Now, the good news for consumers is that this extremely long regulatory issue has finally been resolved, and it comes with a benefit. A new 25-year license has been agreed with the regulator and became effective this month. And under that new agreement, the average price per U.S. gallon of water in Cayman Water's licensed areas has fallen by around 6.5%. So there is a direct consumer benefit coming out of the new agreement. The average price per gallon has fallen by around 6.5%. And it only took at least another 8 years of negotiating to get there. But why? So what are the reasons the negotiations took so long? I would love to know. It's really crazy to me. This also raises a governance question, in my opinion. So OFREG, now known as ERCO, they took responsibility for water regulation back in 2017. And that's an essential utility serving some of Cayman's most heavily developed residential, definitely tourism and commercial areas. Now, with that in mind, how is an essential utility allowed to operate for almost 7 years without a current license agreement, and what protections were in place for consumers during that period? If something was to happen to the infrastructure, for example, what happens? Who pays for that? Who takes care of that? What agreement is it covered under? And if there was a serious dispute over pricing, service standards, and like I said, infrastructure, during all those years, which agreement would have legally binded it? Which agreement would that dispute be covered under? The old one or the one that they've been negotiating towards forever? So, the regulator's chairman has described the new license as part of an effort to turn long outstanding regulatory issues into actual results for consumers. Why did it take 8 years? But as an aside, isn't the role of a regulator also to ensure negotiations don't take 7 or 8 years and that, everybody's abiding by the law? So, just my question there. After nearly 2 decades of disagreement over the terms of the license, the agreement is now finally in place for at least 25 years, and the average water rates in the service areas have come down by around 6.5%. So that's a silver lining in the story there. I guess things take time, but you never know the benefit that's going to come out of it. Now, I'm going to start getting into the cannabis reform. I was going to touch on recycling a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get into recycling talk down the line here. So, just as we've been talking about some business and economic stories making headlines over the last several days, there's a theme that runs through those stories, whether we're talking about utilities, financial services, or I was going to talk about recycling. Cayman is growing, and our business, workforce regulation, and infrastructure must also adapt and grow. So, talking about growing, you may be able to grow your own cannabis soon enough in the Cayman Islands. So that's part of the discussion in the document out for public consultation right now. And it's due September 1st. Your feedback, that is. The discussion paper is called Cannabis Reform Options for a Harm Minimization Framework. Let's get into this. Most of you should remember how Cayman came out to vote in last year's referendum with a question regarding whether cannabis should be decriminalized. If you needed a reminder, the majority of voters supported decriminalization of cannabis. The question posed to voters was, do you support the decriminalization of the consumption and possession of small amounts of cannabis? Turns out, voters did. In the April 2025 referendum, Cayman's voters supported the decriminalization of consumption and possession of small amounts of cannabis. The official result was 10,385 yes votes, representing 55.64% of all ballots cast. It was a little bit higher than that, but some votes, they just didn't count. You know how people mess up their voting card. However, the referendum was non-binding and did not itself change the law. law non-binding means the government really doesn't have to do anything about it, whether you voted to do something or not. And since then, forward movements have been made, so government is looking to do something about it. And there is currently a document out for public consultation called Cannabis Reform: Options for a Harm Minimization Framework. It was published by the Cayman Islands Law Reform Commission on the 1st of July. And you, the public, have until the 1st of September to submit your comments. So this morning I want to break down the 69-page paper into ordinary language so that we can have an informed discussion about what it is and what is not being considered. And you can find the discussion paper at publicconsultation.gov.ky. Do not put www in front of it. Do not ask me why. I won't even get into that reasoning. publicconsultation.gov.ky. Hopefully the website works for you. If not, you can get in touch with me here at Radio Cayman, and I will send you that paper to review. So, as we get started, an important point of discussion here: decriminalization is not the same as legalization. What the Commission appears to be leaning towards is not the creation of cannabis stores, cafes, farms, and a free commercial market, at least not yet in the game. It's considering whether Cayman should stop treating the possession and use of small amounts of cannabis as a criminal matter, while still prohibiting its importation, sales, and commercial supply. That creates its own set of questions and contradictions, which we're going to discuss. But first, what exactly is the Law Reform Commission and why is it handling this issue? So the Cayman Islands Law Reform Commission is a body established under the Law Reform Commission Act, and their role is to examine areas of Cayman law that may be outdated, unclear, inconsistent, or in need of improvement. It researches the law, studies how other jurisdictions approach similar issues, consults with stakeholders in the public, and then makes recommendations for possible reform, which is what we have in this discussion paper right here. The Commission itself does not pass laws. It cannot legalize or decriminalize cannabis on its own, and instead they produce research, discussion papers, and final reports that can assist Cabinet and lawmakers in deciding whether legislation should be introduced or amended. So in simple terms, the Law Reform Commission is being asked to answer questions such as: does the current law still serve its intended purpose? Is it fair? Is it effective? Does it produce unintended consequences? What alternatives exist? And what would the risks be if Cayman changed the law? The current commission includes senior attorneys, retired judicial figures, the Solicitor General, and the Director of Public Prosecutions, supported by its legal and legislative team. When it comes to cannabis reform, the primary law being examined for reform is the Misuse of Drugs Act 2026 revision. That is the statute that currently makes recreational cannabis-related activities criminal offenses in Cayman, including possession, consumption, cultivation or production, importation and exportation, buying, selling, supplying, and distributing, possession of utensils used to prepare or consume controlled drugs. All of that is 100% illegal currently under the Misuse of Drugs Act. The discussion paper points particularly to Section 3 of the Misuse of Drugs Act, which creates the main offenses, and Section 16, which sets out the penalties for cannabis consumption and possession. It also refers to Schedule 1, which defines and classifies cannabis, cannabis resin, ganja, extracts, tinctures, and cannabinoid derivatives as controlled drugs. Why is this happening now? Well, we had a referendum. We had a referendum last year, and following that referendum on June 27th, 2025, Cabinet asked the Law Reform Commission to examine several issues, including how much cannabis should count as a small amount, whether there should still be fines, how reform would fit with Cayman's existing drug laws, Cayman's international obligations, and protections for children and other vulnerable groups, and other possible social consequences. The Commission was also asked to examine how reform might affect enforcement and public safety. So when it comes to decriminalization of marijuana or cannabis, this paper will have you asking questions like: what quantity should be permitted? Where could cannabis be used? Should people be allowed to grow it? What happens to minors if they're caught with it? What happens to old convictions? And how do we stop reform from creating new harms? We're going to get into those details. We're going to get into this discussion paper. I want to hear your perspectives. So call me after the 8 a.m. news. We're going to get to the 8 a.m. news right now, but make sure you join me back on the buzz. Call me with your thoughts. I'd love to hear them.
Yesterday,
Today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. For some, it's the last day of summer fun. For others, it's the eve before an exciting adventure.
Looking forward to a new school year and all the great things that we're going to accomplish.
All government primary and secondary schools are opening their doors to all students tomorrow, and Department of Education Services Deputy Director Dr. Richard Wildman says his team has been working hard, getting everything ready for a brilliant start of the term.
The work, of course, starts well before students walk through the gates. And our focus has been on creating the conditions for a calm, purposeful, and learner-focused start. And that means we have been working with school leaders to make sure schools are clear on their priorities for the 26-27 academic year and ready to support the students once they get back into school.
Today focused on new student orientation for primary and high school students, with returning students joining them tomorrow. You can find the complete 2026-27 government school calendar online at schools.edu.ky. Now, as mentioned, the summer break is almost over, and you have a little bit of time to take your kiddos to see the National Gallery's current main exhibition.
Our current temporary exhibition in the lower exhibition hall in our Esther Lee Tibbetts location, which is the main gallery space, that is called Medium, the Materiality of Making. And Medium is a show that really goes back to the foundations of art making.
National Gallery's Mai Mutu tells Radio Cayman it focuses on the, quote, elemental parts of the artistic process, such as form, line, and color.
So in the line section, we look at something like drawing, where you take, the very simple act of a pencil being in your hand or a piece of charcoal being in your hand, and you make one arc on the page or one line segment on the page, and your hand sort of flows, and where that goes, you start with a very simple line and it can become a whole story. I like to do this exercise when we bring kids through, where we talk about how you can show emotion through a line, and sometimes we'll ask them, what is a line that shows you that you're excited?
No worries if you didn't make it to the exhibition over this summer. It will remain open through November 19th. In regional news, organizers of the Hope, Tools, and Tomorrow Autism Summit say the late Cambridge professor Jason Arday was set to deliver a message to Jamaican parents of autistic children before his death. Arday, who made history in 2023 as the University of Cambridge's youngest Black professor, had agreed to be the keynote speaker at the inaugural summit. He'd also agreed to address students at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. Arday resigned as a Cambridge professor of sociology of education earlier this month after allegations of plagiarism and questions about some of his achievements. He had denied the claims. He was found dead in South London on August 14th. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Emily Thomas. The UN and the Red Cross are warning that the world is dangerously close to fully autonomous weapons killing humans. A joint statement appeals for urgent international regulation at a time when drone warfare is becoming ever more sophisticated. There's currently no treaty governing the use of so-called killer robots. China says it opposes illegal unilateral sanctions after the US warned that countries that continue to deal with Iran would face consequences. Beijing said economic warfare and maximum pressure tactics only fueled further conflict. A refugee charity's warning that this season's extra severe El Niño weather phenomenon could result in massive flooding in East Africa, displacing up to 3 million people. Sweden's military has asked the government to expropriate a property near a strategic naval base owned by a Russian oligarch. The military says the location within Stockholm's archipelago has unique conditions for strengthening the base's defence against drones from both sea and air. The Kremlin has refused to comment on tracking data showing a US military transport plane has landed at Moscow's Vnukovo airport. There's speculation in Russian media that the plane may have brought President Trump's envoys for talks on the Ukraine war. A member of the Israeli parliament has tried to smash a Palestinian memorial with a sledgehammer in the occupied West Bank. Video shows Zvi Sukkot, a member of the religious Zionism party, striking the memorial, which has the names of Palestinians killed during the conflict with Israel, some of whom were involved in deadly attacks. And that's the latest world news from the BBC.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
If you're swapping out your old CandyWhack email address for a new one, Water Authority Cayman needs to hear from you. Take a moment to update your contact details with Water Authority Cayman. We don't want to lose touch with you or for you to miss important updates about your water service. Visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and fill out the customer information update form today.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Got something on your mind that you want to share? You can send a text, send a voice note, or even request a song. Go on, give it a try. Message us at 925-3261 on WhatsApp today and get active with Radio Cayman. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, hashtag Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 86 degrees. Relative humidity is 86%. The barometric pressure is 1015.3 millibars, and the wind is out of the east-southeast at 5 knots. Synopsis indicate a tropical wave is affecting the islands. Expect cloudy skies with some scattered showers and possible thunder. Light to gentle winds could become gusty at times near showers, and seas are forecast to remain slight to moderate. Radar imagery shows scattered showers in and around the Cayman area. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 60% chance of showers and possible thunder, and temperatures will be in the low 90s with a heat index of 109 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be easterly at 5 to 10 knots with higher gust, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 60% chance of showers and possible thunder, and temperatures falling near the low 80s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots with higher gusts, and seas slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet for tonight as well. Low tide will be this afternoon at 1:57 with a high tide again this evening at 8:32. The sun will set this evening at 6:45 and will rise tomorrow morning at 9 minutes past 6. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions to linger through Wednesday as the tropical wave gradually moves away from the Cayman area. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Set to battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Britcay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Think on an okay, man? Get out and explore the legends behind our landmarks competition. Visit any landmark on the interactive map, snap a photo or video, then share it to Instagram or Facebook and tell us what you learned. tag at MYSCH_Cayman and use hashtag Legends Behind Our Landmarks for your chance to win weekly prizes and 2 major prizes. The more landmarks you visit, the more chances you have to win. Visit Legends Behind Our Landmarks.ky and find out where we from. Brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage.
Hello, this is Roy Tatum, your Member of Parliament for Red Bay. Congratulations to Radio Cayman on 50 remarkable years. For half a century, Radio Cayman has been more than a radio station. It has been the voice of our people, the heartbeat of these islands, present through every storm and every celebration and every chapter of our story as Caymanians. A special thank you to every staff member, past and present, whose dedication and passion built this legacy we treasure so deeply. On behalf of the people of the constituency of Red Bay, I thank you, Radio Cayman, and may your signal carry us proudly into the next 50 years. God bless.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Top of the morning, let's check in now with traffic, see what's happening on our roads. Heavy traffic coming off of the Esley-Tibbetts Highway. Delays expected as you're heading on to your final destination. Steady traffic on Orstown Road. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue flowing at a moderate pace. Let's turn our attention to the east now on Shamrock Road. Moderate flow of traffic. Further down, a little different story as traffic a little steadier on the Linford Pearson Highway. Coming off of Barbara Thompson Way, moving at a moderate pace and continuing on to Huldah Avenue, which is a little steady traffic. Agnes Way, moderate flow of traffic. Crew Road looking pretty good, moving at a moderate pace in both directions, and no issues on Owen Roberts Drive as traffic is light to moderate. On the West Bay Road and for the Ritz, traffic moving pretty good in both directions. If you've seen any accidents, let us know by calling us at 949-6990. Join us again at about 50 minutes after 12. We'll give you another look at traffic.
Need a spark? Then Subway's new Ghost Pepper Bread's got just what you need. Amp up your lunch with its smoky Ghost Pepper blend and spicy jalapeno topping on your favorite sub. Or in our 2 new recipes, Subway's new Ghost Pepper Spicy Chicken and Ghost Pepper Spicy Steak subs, made with crispy onions, jalapenos, and a zesty chipotle sauce. Now that's one way to turn up the heat. Get it for a limited time before it's gone. Subway's new Ghost Pepper Bread, coming in hot. Only at Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. Susan caught me slipping just now. How you guys doing this morning? I am your host, Kathy Miller. If you are just joining me on the show, we are talking about cannabis reform. On July 1st, the Law Reform Commission put out a white paper for discussion. And that paper, let me just scroll back up and make sure I get it right. That paper for public consultation out right now is called Cannabis Reform, Options for a Harm Minimization Framework. You can find this discussion paper on publicconsultation.gov.ky. Do not put www. publicconsultation.gov.ky. If you cannot access the website, if you cannot find the discussion paper, get in touch with me, Kathy, here at Radio Cayman, and I will send it to you, all right? So you have until September 1st to submit your comments as they were, in regards to decriminalization of cannabis in the Cayman Islands. So I gave a bit of a rundown of who the Law Reform Commission is and exactly what they're being asked to do with this discussion paper that's out for public consults. I did mention that following the referendum on last year, on the 27th of June, Cabinet did ask the Law Reform Commission to examine several issues, including how much cannabis should count as a small amount, whether there should still be fines, how reform would fit with Cayman's existing drug laws, Cayman's international obligations, possible social consequences, and protections for children and other vulnerable groups. The Commission was also asked to examine how reform might affect enforcement and public safety. So, given that background, We're going to get into this discussion paper. We're going to look at the most important definition in this entire discussion, which is decriminalization. Under decriminalization, possession or consumption of a small amount of cannabis would no longer result in a criminal conviction. I'm sure the attorneys in the courts would be somewhat happy to hear that. There are two possible versions. One version replaces the criminal offense with something like a ticket or an administrative fine. The other removes the penalty entirely, provided the amount is within the lawful threshold. This does not mean necessarily that cannabis becomes a legal commercial product. A person might no longer be prosecuted for possessing a small amount, while the person who sold or imported it could still be committing a criminal offense, because we're talking about decriminalizing possession and consumption, not the selling of it. But how can it be decriminalized for you to be in possession of it, and then you also get fined? That doesn't make no sense. If it's decriminalized and you can have up to a certain amount on it, why would you also get a fine? That seems contradictory. Now, let's look at the term legalization. That goes a lot further. It would allow the production and supply of cannabis under a regulated system. That could include licensed growers, processors, and retailers, product testing, packaging rules, age limits, and government oversight. I mean, for the other countries that have a lot of regulatory systems in place, I can tell you that it's not a favorable position for anybody but the government. All right. The Commission examines legalization because it recognizes an obvious problem with decriminalization, which I pointed out. So, if it is lawful, or at least not criminal, to possess cannabis, where is a person legally supposed to obtain it? We can't buy it from people. That's illegal. If production, importation, and sale all remain illegal, most users may still have to buy from the illegal market or grow it, which, again, remains illegal. I think we have a call coming in. I think we have a WhatsApp call coming in. Do we have a WhatsApp call coming in? Susan, do you see the call? Yes. All right, let's take that. If production, importation, and sale all remain illegal, as I mentioned, users will still have to buy from the illegal market or grow it. So, this is what the Commission describes as a kind of policy inconsistency. Do we got that caller online? All right, let's take that call. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Buzz.
Hello, good morning, Michelle. How are you? Rambo speaking.
I'm really good. How are you doing, Rambo? You know, I knew we would call this morning.
Yeah, that's my avenue. Right?
I know.
7 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
We need to get rid of that. Apparently, you from Canada, right?
Yes.
And 8 years ago, on my birthday, I was 34. They would legalize in Canada and elsewhere. So it eventually decriminalized. Okay? You see, Catherine, right? I don't know who have amnesia or dementia, but last year there was a referendum.
Yes.
You know, so the board can be hideous about it. You understand? It's a big topic. And
this topic, you're saying, is a big topic.
Yeah, it is.
It's a big topic. Sorry, go ahead, Rambo.
Yeah. Apparently, most people know they put obstacles in other stuff as a distraction. This is a big topic. They had a referendum on it. It cost a lot of money towards that.
Yeah.
So we can't put our head in the sand. You feel me?
I want you to stop. I want you to go back to that point you just made. You're saying that, if I got it right, you're saying that there a whole bunch of other things is happening right now as if to distract from this public consult for cannabis reform?
Some sort of way, indirectly.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, so.
Yeah. Some sort of way.
Well, I agree with that sentiment as well.
Because the how I observe it, right? Because
there's been zero word on it from government. There's been zero discussion on radio. There's been a little bit about it. It was hard for me to get a panel on this, trust me.
You see, I heard Mark Evans calling yesterday morning with OC show, and I tried calling the last 2-3 minutes, but I'm not getting in eventually. But I got that my style this morning towards you. You're leader, I respect you, so don't feel like it'd be harsh words, obviously, you know. Right now, what Catherine, you see, this decriminalization thing, how you see it now, it does reduce status, criminal status, right? And I analyze the Constitution, right? So it should be measured in an equity driven policy that moves the criminal stain from a rigid prohibitionist, right? Because we're not a police state, carceral state, like communism, right? So in the framework, it should be impractical or stark contrast, right? It's a calibrated reform proclivity, right? Useful discussion on individual behavior without moral panic. Because everywhere else in jurisdiction, they use all the template, they run with it. Only when we came on though, the spot hemisphere, we become like discombobulated, confused on a simple topic. And obviously, like I said in Kate, distraction. They talk about the faith and stuff. How about coincide with this? Not in my eyes or aspect, right? The public health prerogative. Obviously, they come to the herbs now. With the minimization of it, it's about prevention and education over punishment. So in this era, this contemporary era, Kate, we need an affirmative action, right, as a corrective measure to repair unfair outcomes and modernize policy, right? Obsolete, archaic, antiquated punishment laws, misuse of drug law. That about 50 years in the making, that law, right? That 8 years before I born, I've been going on. So all this proportionality punishment should fit the conduct, no overreach. In how I analyze this harm minimization again, it's reducing damage rather than escalating stigma,
right,
and incarceration.
So can I interrupt you and ask?
Go ahead.
I think you said earlier when you started speaking that it reduces the status. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, the status.
Yeah, can you explain what you mean by that?
I mean, reducing first way. Let me define it properly. Legalization is full extent all the way, but decriminalization is reduce the penalty status, the components, reduce those elements.
Gotcha. I just want to be clear on what you were saying.
Yeah, okay. And finally, Kate, in the judicial reform, should be careful, balanced, and looking toward the defensible change. Like I said, Kate, I call OC show, I call Charging Friday 2 other times. I keep saying over and over again, and without keeping on. In a sense, the government, the first 100 days, you should execute this right away, right?
They did though, Rambo.
I know, but from my point of view, right? I know they have the 10 bullet points, right? The sweet spot to execute, that the pipeline, but in a sensible government, they have more cognizance, right? They should have just listen, pass a law, respect the voters, right? When they had a swearing in, they had a pastor who against it. I watched it out live now. So what I would have shown you, like I say again, tread carefully. And Miss Catherine.
Hey, I'm just giving a balanced perspective here.
I know. You're like I said, Catherine, and a journalist, you can't be an activist and journalist at the same time. But you, in Radio Cayman, in Cayman campus, intermediary. You understand? You can't be journalist activist. You look confused. You understand? But like I say, you balance with your position and do your thing, Catherine. You have a good day.
So hold on. Okay? You see me as a journalist or an activist or a talk show host? Which one?
No. What I'm saying, no. You can't be both. You can't be both. You can't be the same parts. Be a journalist and activist.
I don't know. I don't think I would agree with that at all. There's plenty of journalists that are activists out there and fighting for what they think is right and on the front lines of things. Absolutely.
I know, but sometimes they get other rhetoric towards it.
A biasness.
If you know where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I understand
so you have to be balanced towards it. You know?
Which is exactly what I'm trying to do here, which is why I wanted to have the panel discussion. But I don't know if you heard me say it was difficult getting people together for a panel discussion on this topic. And I do agree there is a lot of public consultations out right now. They're almost all kind of due at the same time in September. That's interesting to me. there's 4 under the legislative package with the Ministry of Health. Then there's a couple of them under the Ministry of Plahi. Then we have this cannabis reform one. There's a few more out there that I can't remember at the top of my head, although I do have the website open. I can just go and look. I do find that there's messaging towards certain consultations that government wants us to maybe pay more attention to. That's what it seems to be. However, I would have to agree that housing is much more of a priority than cannabis reform, for an example. So I can see a priority being placed on getting communication out for housing and affordable housing. That affects every single person. So
that's just,
but I see what you're saying, and I agree with some things, and I also know how the process goes a little bit.
I understand your position, right? Yeah, right. You're in the media house right now, but you see the whole pinnacle, it's conventional, the waters, right?
Mm-hmm.
This referendum, it was social issue.
Yeah, and it was a huge issue, because why have a referendum about it? So it is a big priority at the same time.
Because you see, last year, before election, I called it Elo show in Lake Austin. I tell them I go. They agree with me. And, Elo have different aspect, but he agree with me. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
For years, we started on the show. And the first time I was a guest, he said I was the best guest there. I see my position. 8 people calling about it too. Different segment of society. So this time new, right? And in 2019, Manka basically, he draft his petition, worded carefully, profoundly, thoroughly, right? So this time new, we do jump over hurdles, then we could talk to beach access, modernize airport, whatever. But this is Istanbul, seal deliver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm passionate about it, Cather. I'm passionate about it. Like I said again, last I called you, I spent $1,050 on a draw. Started a toenail, $50 for residue and scissors, and $500 for the blueberry cigarette paper. You know what I tell you? And the judiciary, they hire anarchy and how the drugs. Yeah, they're not speculation. They're my business, but you know who's who. So this to get rid of carefully. Okay, Ms. Carter, you have a good day.
All right. Thanks, Rambo, for sharing.
Okay. God bless you.
God bless you as well. Thank you so much for sharing and giving us your thoughts and your viewpoint on this. So I got to go back to what my last notes were. All right. So we were talking about legalization and the term, like what the term legalization really means, and I had mentioned that it could include licensed growers, processors, and retailers, product testing, packaging rules, age limits, and government oversight, which, as I've said, some of the large countries out there, they don't really like the government oversight when it comes to cannabis. However, the Commission examines legislation because it also recognizes an obvious problem with decriminalization. And as I said, if it is lawful or at least not criminal to possess cannabis, where is a person legally supposed to obtain it? Now, what does the current Cayman law say? In reviewing our current drug law, so we understand the system we're currently working with, cannabis is currently a controlled drug under Cayman's Misuse of Drugs Act. Medical and therapeutic use of certain cannabis extracts and tinctures is already permitted under Section 2A of the Misuse of Drugs Act when prescribed by a medical doctor. However, the current consultation is mainly focused on recreational possession and consumption, not medical or therapeutical uses. I know previously when I brought this topic up, there was a question asking about the medical use of cannabis. It is not being touched at all. At all. It's already permitted. It's lawful. Good to go. We are focused on recreational possession and consumption for this reform discussion. In the current law, the paper points out that the maximum penalties written into law are severe. And I agree. For consumption of cannabis or cannabis resin, the law provides for a fine of $3,000 and imprisonment with hard labor for 3 years. Can you imagine? For possession of less than 1 pound of cannabis or cannabis resin, the law provides for a fine of $20,000 and imprisonment with hard labor for 7 years, with higher potential penalties for repeat convictions. You can get less time, and we've seen a lot less time being given to offenders who have sexually abused minors. I need to know how that is less important than cannabis consumption. So that was my aside. Cayman's current legal framework treats cannabis possession as a serious criminal offense. The report also examines enforcement data. In 2023, the RCIPS recorded 150 drug crimes. Possession of ganja accounted for 73 cases, or almost half of all recorded drug offenses that year. What I would like to know is what those possession amounts were. Are we talking a spliff, an ounce, a pound? The paper says drug offenses increased in 2024, mainly because of a 36% increase in ganja possession offenses. So I guess we're seeing a little bit more people in possession and being caught with it. However, the commission also notes the RCIPS explanation: the police are not necessarily going out specifically hunting for minor users. It's a bit of a waste of their time. They have a lot more other things to do. Not saying that they're not keeping an eye out, but it's not their main priority. Possession charges may arise when police are investigating supply, firearms, or another offense, or during an unrelated interaction with someone. Now, an unrelated interaction with someone can result in a very minor possession. So, again, I'm interested to know how many arrests were made for relatively small quantities and not the bigger busts. That point is important because decriminalization could reduce the number of people brought into criminal justice system for simple possession, freeing up a lot of time and police resources for far more serious matters. But police are also raising a concern that small possession offenses can sometimes provide a point of contact that does lead them to a more serious criminal activity. And I mean, duh. Clearly, that's how you get your little informers. So we're going to turn to the commission's central argument, which is about harm minimization. We're going to take our next commercial break. But again, if you have thoughts towards this discussion paper, I'd love to hear from you. So give me a call.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Your future starts at UCCI, but don't wait. Fall 2026 applications close August 28th. Build your future in digital media production with courses in video editing and content creation. Prepare to make a difference through teaching and education, social work, nursing, or pre-med, or build practical career skills in areas like plumbing and electrical installation. With associate, bachelor's, and postgraduate options, there's a path for you at UCCI. UCCI is now holding student admission, advising, and registration week. Applications close August 28th. Apply today at ucci.edu.ky.
Hey, what's up, Radio Cayman? It's Janez sending warm wishes on your 50th anniversary. I remember back in the days doing Youth Flex every week after school with Mr. Jamo and Mr. Joel, promoting my music and sporting events. It's been a wonderful journey, and I'm thrilled to celebrate it with you. Thank you for your continued support and inspiring our community. Cheers to many more years. Happy 50th anniversary, Radio Cayman. Love and blessings.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about cannabis reform, the discussion paper that is out right now for public consultation. Your feedback is due in 1 week. That is by September 1st, 2026. You can give feedback on how you believe Cayman should approach decriminalization of cannabis. Now we're going to look at the Commission's central argument, which is harm minimization. The title of the discussion paper I'm referring to is Cannabis Reform, Options for a Harm Minimization Framework. As the focus is on harm minimization, the question being asked is, which legal approach causes the least overall harm? The Commission suggests that prohibition is justified only if it does two things. First, it meaningfully reduces cannabis use. Second, it does not create more harm than it prevents, and the paper argues that prohibition has generally failed to stop cannabis use. Cannabis remains the world's most commonly used illicit drug. The Commission also identifies possible harms caused by prohibition itself. Criminal convictions can damage employment prospects. People may be less willing to seek treatment because they fear arrest. Police, prosecution, and court resources are used on minor offenses. The illegal market remains unregulated. Users do not know the strength or content of what they are buying, and profits continue to flow to illegal dealers and organized crime. However, the report also acknowledges that prohibition probably deters at least some people. The fear of arrest, social stigma, and the difficulty of finding an employer, and also quality for money, may reduce demand. It very likely does reduce demand. Removing those barriers could increase use, particularly if reform eventually develops into legal retail sales. Or we may have the same amount of users. They're just more obvious and visible now. In essence, cannabis can be harmful, but criminal prohibition says that might not be the most effective way to manage that harm. The Commission compares this with alcohol and tobacco. Both can cause addiction, disease, accidents, violence, and harm to families. But Cayman generally manages those substances through age limits, licensing, taxation, public health education, and restrictions on where they could be used, not through total prohibition. One of the strongest concerns in the paper relates to young people. The discussion paper cites Cayman's 2022 Student Drug Use Survey, and I just want to add in that there is a new one. There is a new one that the National Drug Council has completed. I don't think it's published yet, but that's something to look forward to. So the one we're referring to right now is the 2022 Student Drug Use Survey. Amongst students aged 11 to 18, the average age of first marijuana use was 13. The average age of first alcohol use was 11. 14.1% reported having used marijuana at some point in their lives, and 5.3% reported using marijuana during the previous 30 days. By comparison, 40.5% had consumed alcohol at some point. That's almost half your youth between the ages of 11 to 18. And 13.1% had consumed alcohol during the previous 30 days. Again, this was in 2022. So cannabis was not the most commonly used substance among students. Alcohol was significantly more prevalent, followed by e-cigarettes. But that does not remove concern. The Commission says cannabis can be particularly harmful during adolescence, affecting memory, learning, attention, and the risk of early onset psychosis, particularly in vulnerable young people. And as an aside, we're seeing a lot more studies come out as it relates to cannabis use and psychosis. That is something that I think we need to pay attention to, whether you support it or don't. The data is there. It therefore suggests that using cannabis around children should remain an offense, and that cannabis should not be stored where children can access it. But the Commission also asks a difficult question. Should minors caught with small amounts be given a criminal record? Or should they be diverted into counseling, education, or treatment? The consultation offers two broad possibilities. 1. Decriminalize possession for minors as well as adults while using health and education interventions. 2. Keep it prohibited for minors, but replace criminal prosecution with an administrative penalty or diversion program. My question to you, listeners, is what should happen when a 16 or 17-year-old is caught with a small amount of cannabis? A few grams. Should they be given a criminal conviction? Should they be arrested and prosecuted? Should there be mandatory counseling, community service, a drug education program? Let me know your thoughts. 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, and you can WhatsApp call or text me at 925-3261. The discussion paper asks, where could cannabis be used? The Commission's preliminary position is that cannabis use should not be permitted in public. So not on the beach, not in a park, not walking down the street. It proposes that consumption should be restricted to a private residential dwelling, and even there, not when children are present. The concern is not only intoxication, it's also secondhand smoke, nuisance odors, public discomfort, exposure of children, and the difficulty of regulating public behavior. This means decriminalization would not necessarily give someone the right to smoke cannabis, as mentioned, on 7 Mile Beach, in a park, outside a bar, on the roadside, at work, in a vehicle, or at a public event like a concert. The paper does not propose cannabis cafes or public consumption lounges. It asks whether private residential dwellings should be the only permitted place. But this raises practical questions. What about someone living in a rented apartment? Could a landlord prohibit cannabis use? What about a strata property? What about smoking on a balcony where the smell enters a neighbor's home? What about tourists and hotels? What about an adult living with children? Could that person legally possess cannabis but have nowhere lawful to consume it? When it comes to fines, the Commission asks whether possession and consumption should attract an administrative penalty or no penalty at all. An administrative penalty would work something like a traffic ticket. A person would receive a notice and pay a fine. If the fine is paid, there would be no prosecution and no criminal conviction. Now, that might sound like a reasonable compromise. However, the Commission is not convinced that it adds much value. And how does a fine make sense if it becomes decriminalized? Again, or is it going to be one of those things, hey, if you're an expat, maybe you'll get the fine. I'm just going to throw that out there since some of these behaviors are happening. The Commission's concern is that a fine may not deter cannabis use, but it could disproportionately affect people on lower incomes. A $100 or $200 fine may be an inconvenience for one person on a pretty good salary, but a financial hardship for somebody perhaps, living on minimum wage, 5 people to a room, that kind of position. It's a bit of financial hardship for them. It would also create additional administration for police and government. The Commission therefore appears open to possession within the permitted threshold, attracting no penalty at all for an adult. That does not mean every cannabis-related activity would be lawful. Possessing above the limit, public use, supplying, importing, and selling would absolutely remain offenses. When it comes to cannabis reform, are we talking all forms of cannabis? No. The Commission's preliminary proposal is very specific. It suggests decriminalization should apply only to dried cannabis. It should not extend to cannabis resin, concentrates, high-potency extracts, vapes, cannabis syrups, drinks, tinctures, gummies, cookies, candies, or other edible cannabis products. Why? Because many of those products contain higher levels of THC, the main intoxicating component of cannabis, and some are also more attractive to younger people and easier to consume without detection. The Commission says Cayman could not properly regulate the potency of those products without regulating their manufacture, importation, and supply. And perhaps I am misunderstanding that part, but I kind of doubt that perspective from the Commission because other countries are doing that just fine. And since when does Cayman regulate manufacturing processes for every product imported here? I don't think we do that. Again, maybe I'm misunderstanding something there. But since the Commission is not recommending a legal commercial supply system, such as retail shops, it proposes limiting decriminalization to dried cannabis. For quantity, its preliminary recommendation is 30 grams of dried cannabis, and if home cultivation is permitted, 150 grams of wet or freshly harvested cannabis. So 30 grams is a little bit more than an ounce, and 150 grams is a bit more than a quarter pound of dried cannabis. Remember, right now, if you're caught with a pound, or it's less than a pound, I think it's $20,000 in a fine and up to 7 years in jail. That's what I read earlier. Now, the Commission's comparison table shows that there's similar limits to usage in Canada, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, and Dominica. It is lower than Jamaica's 57-gram threshold and higher than Bermuda's 7-gram threshold. I'm going to talk about home cultivation next, and then also give a rundown of those 10 questions that this discussion paper is asking for your feedback on. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Not sure where you fit in tech? Pathways in Tech by Enterprise Cayman can help you find your route. Whether you're interested in project management, computer support, or network systems, this program helps individuals explore practical, career-focused skills for real opportunities in Cayman's tech and innovation sector. It's beginner-friendly, job-relevant, special economic zone connected, and scholarships are available. Your path in tech starts here. Visit enterprisecayman.ky to apply today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways. Offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. We're in the final stretch here. We've got maybe about 13 minutes for me to, I want to say I got about 9 more pages of typewritten notes here to go over, but I'm going to get through this as fast as I can and go over, I think, the most important parts that are left here when it comes to this discussion paper. So home cultivation. The Commission asks whether Cayman should decriminalize growing a limited number of cannabis plants at home. So there was the question earlier, if cannabis consumption is decriminalized, where exactly are we supposed to get to the cannabis in the first place to consume? Because we can't buy it from somebody. So if it's decriminalized, the idea is allowing people to be able to grow a limited number of cannabis plants in their home. So it prevents them from buying from anybody because selling would be an offense still. Now, the preliminary suggestion is up to 4 plants per household, not per adult, per household. They're hoping that not more than 150 grams would be produced from those 4 plants, and I'm not going to argue that one, but a whole lot more than that will be produced. But anyway, the argument in favor is that home cultivation could reduce people's reliance on illegal dealers. And if someone is permitted to possess cannabis but cannot legally buy it, limited home growing provides at least some way to obtain it without participating directly in the illegal markets. The Australian Capital Territory found that after allowing limited home cultivation, people there were more likely than the national average to grow their own cannabis, while the proportion obtaining cannabis from dealers did not increase. But home growing also raises practical issues. How would the police know whether you have 4 plants or 40? Could plants be grown outdoors where neighbors or children can see them? Would landlords have the right to prohibit cultivation? What happens in an apartment? Like, if I can grow a snake plant in there, I'm not allowed to grow a cannabis plant. Like, how is a landlord going to decide what plants I can have in my home? You understand? How would cannabis waste be safely discarded? So it's looking at all those questions when it comes to home cultivation. Why the Commission is not recommending retail legalization, let us get into that, but they looked at several models in terms of legalizing cannabis. So there's the model of decriminalization. The possession and use are removed from the criminal system under a certain amount, but production and sale remain legal. There's strict legalization. Production and sale become legal, but are tightly controlled through licenses, product limits, testing, packaging, restricted retail, public health regulation, and other regulatory processes. There's liberal legalization. Cannabis is treated more like a largely unrestricted commercial product. And the Commission considers that to be a high-risk model. There's hybrid regulation, where some legal product or distribution is permitted, but under strict controls designed to protect public health, reduce illegal trade, and prevent aggressive commercialization. After examining those models, the Commission recommends a cautious approach. And I agree. I agree to a cautious approach because we're just getting into it to figure out how it's going to work. Let's be cautionary. So we talked about not having any legal shops. I'm not going to get into that too much. Okay, maybe I will a little tiny bit. Evidence suggests that cannabis use tends to rise more when commercial supply is legal than when possession alone is decriminalized. Retailers increase access, competition reduces prices, marketing normalizes the product. And new products such as gummies, beverages, vapes, and concentrates attract a wider range of consumers. The product says commercially oriented markets, particularly in parts of the U.S., have experienced increases in intensive adult use and cannabis-related healthcare demand. That's where it's considered legal. Second, the Commission is not convinced that legal retail eliminates the black markets. And I agree, because a lot of the users don't want to go through the over-processed, highly maybe toxic different chemicals being put into their cannabis. Some people just want to go with a regular natural grower. They know who they're getting their product from, basically. The report also says that Cayman faces major banking risks if we're looking at legalization. So cannabis remains illegal at the U.S. federal level in important respects. And the discussion paper says Cayman's banks depend on correspondent banking relationships, particularly relationships that allow U.S. dollar transactions to move through the international system. A Cayman cannabis industry could cause correspondent banks to view local financial institutions as too risky. And the Commission warns that legalizing cannabis trade could endanger banking relationships that are vital to Cayman's entire economy. Now, I really would like to see the data and understand the reasoning that points to this. Because is it happening in Bermuda, in Jamaica, in Trinidad? And out of those three countries, Bermuda is a huge financial center. Is it happening to them? Are banks having a problem with Bermuda all of a sudden? I don't think so. It's not happening with bigger countries like Canada, Netherlands. So in my opinion, I highly doubt it, because other countries have been doing it for quite some time with no issues with the banks. So I don't like that kind of fear scaring that, to me, seems like it is in the report. Fourth, Cayman is a British overseas territory and a bill cannot become law without the governor's assent. If the bill appears inconsistent with the United Kingdom's international obligations, it may have to be reserved for a decision by the UK. The UK previously prevented broader cannabis legislation proposals from proceeding in Bermuda and the British Virgin Islands. Now, would reform increase use? The Commission makes a very important distinction. Decriminalization and legalization do not appear to produce identical outcomes. In jurisdictions that merely decriminalize possession, cannabis use often remained relatively stable or increased only slightly. But in some jurisdictions where it was legalized, those rates of cannabis use went up. There's a lot more information on that as we look at our neighboring jurisdictions like Jamaica or Trinidad or Bermuda, some countries I mentioned, St. Kitts, Dominica, British Virgin Islands. This is all in the paper, so you can see how our neighboring countries are dealing with decriminalization. And I'm going to go to a really big point I want to make before I give you those 10 questions that they want your feedback on. The final major issue in this paper is in regards to expungement. Expungement means removing or clearing a conviction from a person's criminal record. The Commission says that if conduct is no longer considered criminal, there is a strong argument that old convictions for the same conduct should also be removed. Its preliminary view is that Cayman should consider expunging convictions for possession of up to 30 grams of dried cannabis, possession of up to 150 grams of wet cannabis, freshly harvested cannabis, consumption of cannabis, and cultivation of up to 4 plants. So it's looking at considering expunging convictions for those 4 points that I just mentioned, provided those activities become decriminalized under the new framework, of course. So the argument is straightforward. If Cayman decides that possessing 30 grams should no longer be a crime, should a person convicted 5 or 10 years ago from possessing that same amount, or even less, continue to suffer the consequences? Those consequences can include difficulty finding employment, securing immigration status, obtaining licenses, or traveling to another country. Now, would expungement happen automatically? Would people have to apply? Would it include convictions involving other offenses? Got a lot of questions for you, but we only got 5 minutes left in this open line segment. So thank you to Rambo, who did call in and gave a little bit of his opinion. I know I got a question that came in through chat. And this question is, good morning. Question, Kathy. When we talk about regulating cannabis, why shouldn't we look at it in the same way we regulate alcohol and cigarettes? Age restrictions, controls, and public education, rather than criminalizing it. Cannabis is a plant that can be grown naturally, while alcohol and tobacco are legal and heavily regulated. In other countries, if other countries have legalized or decriminalized cannabis, what has the evidence shown? Has it created serious new problems, or has it allowed governments to regulate the market and generate revenue while reducing the illegal market? I believe it's time we seriously look at reform based on today's evidence, not yesterday's fears. That was a very wonderfully worded message. Thank you to our listener who sent that on via WhatsApp. And I did speak about some of these points. We are looking at, or the discussion paper is looking at, regulating cannabis use with age restrictions and taking away the criminal aspects of it. Again, if you fall within the thresholds of 30 grams or less cannabis on you. Also, it's not bagged up differently. Like, you can't have 30 grams of cannabis on you and it be in different bags, because that looks like it's an intent to sell. So you realize that. Also, 150 grams to produce from your plants. So you could have up to 4 plants. So we are looking at these measures when it comes to decriminalization. You asked about other countries, and the paper gives evidence and examples of how other countries have dealt with this, what has happened when decriminalization has come in, and what the reports have shown is the majority of these countries, the use of cannabis may be only slightly increased, maybe only slightly, but when it came to legalization, you saw the use increase a lot more. So decriminalization seems to keep the user numbers stable, or where they're at right now. So I hope I've answered your questions there. Now, you have 1 week to get your feedback for these 10 official consultation questions, which I'm going to get through as fast as I can in the next 2 minutes. Question 1, do you think that the importation, production, distribution, and sale of cannabis should remain illegal? Question 2, do you think that the home cultivation of a limited number of cannabis plants for personal consumption should be decriminalized? Do you think that consumption and possession of cannabis should be decriminalized for minors under the age of 18? Do you think that cannabis consumption should only be permitted in private residential dwellings? If the consumption and possession of small amounts of cannabis is decriminalized, do you think administrative penalties should apply, or no penalties at all? If consumption and possession of cannabis by minors is not decriminalized, do you think that criminal penalties should be replaced with administrative penalties? Do you think that decriminalization should be limited to dried cannabis and not extend to cannabis resin and other cannabis products? Do you agree with a possession limit of 30 grams of dried cannabis and 150 grams of wet or freshly harvested cannabis? Do you agree with a cultivation limit of up to 4 cannabis plants per household? Final question. Do you think that historic minor cannabis convictions should be expunged? You have until September 1st to answer those questions, to give your feedback on this white paper as it comes to cannabis reform. The paper can be found at publicconsultation.gov.ky, or you can reach out to me, Kathy, here at Radio Cayman. I can send you the white paper if you somehow cannot get your hands on it. Submissions can be sent electronically to the Law Reform Commission at cilawreform@gov.ky. That's the email address, cilawreform@gov.ky, or delivered in writing through its office located on the 5th floor of the Government Administration Building in the Portfolio of Legal Affairs. And with that, I almost got it all out. We're going to go to the 9 a.m. headline news, and then I'm excited to welcome Cayman Enterprise City into the studios.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
A second visitor has been injured near Governor's Beach this month after what appears to be an attack by a fish in local waters on Monday. Quote, immediate action was taken by a multi-agency team consisting of the Department of Environment, Marine Unit, and the Royal Cayman Islands Police Air Operations Unit, who are working to locate and remove the fish from the area using all available resources. On August 12th, the visitor was also injured off Governor's Beach and treated at the hospital with a non-life-threatening injury. The next day, the Department of Environment said international experts believe the bite was, quote, caused by a barracuda. In international news, China has vowed to protect its interest after the U.S. announced plans to widen economic sanctions against Iran and its trading partners, which include Beijing. A foreign ministry spokesman said China was firmly opposed to what it called, quote, illegal unilateral sanctions and would take all, quote, necessary measures to safeguard its rights. This came after the U.S. Treasury Secretary announced the new measures on Monday, warning any nation financially partnering with Iran would be isolated. China is the biggest buyer of Iranian oil, although the trade has declined under the U.S. blockade of Iran's ports. And a new study says as many as 97.7% of NFL players who died between 2016 and 2021 could have had a brain disease related to repeated blows to the head. Researchers looked at 878 former players who died during that period, with 235 having donated their brains to research. Of those, 215 were found to have chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE, a degenerative brain disease which can only be diagnosed after death. The study, published in the British Medical Journal, also found dementia was common among brain donors. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When a hurricane is on the way, the safest decisions are made before it hits. Emergency medical centers, or EMCs, are available for persons with medical needs, including those who rely on oxygen or ventilators, have severe reduced mobility, have a mental illness, who are nonviolent, have dementia, or pregnant women. A caregiver must accompany persons at EMCs at all times. For more information, visit hsa.ky/hsa-prepared. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. And yes, I'm done with the cannabis reform discussion. And in this segment, I'm happy to bring in one of our sponsors, which is Cayman Enterprise City. So as Cayman's economy continues to diversify and grow, one of the big questions is whether Caymanians are being equipped with the skills needed to take advantage of new jobs in industries being created. Enterprise Cayman has launched Future Focus Pathways, an initiative aimed at connecting young Caymanians with practical training, industry-recognized certifications, and career development opportunities based on where they actually want to go professionally. Today, we're going to find out about how Future Focus Pathways works, what opportunities are available, and how Enterprise Cayman is working with employers to make sure the skills being developed actually match the jobs available in Cayman. Here to tell us more are Charlie Kirkconnell, CEO of Cayman Enterprise City and Chairman of Enterprise Cayman. Deashra. Oh, I know that. Thank you. Tula, Operations Officer at Cayman Enterprise City. Michael McNair, Head of Professional Services at Kirk IT. Shannon Thompson, Software Developer at Ritus International, SEZZ. SEZZ?
SEZZ.
Z or Z, either or for me. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Good to have you on. Bit of a long intro. Charlie, I haven't had you on the Buzz ever, I think. Maybe once, a couple years ago.
Maybe once, quite a long time
Yeah,
ago.
phone interview, I think. But it's great to have you on the show, and welcome back to our studios. You said you haven't been here in a minute since it's been renovated, so it's good to have you back in here. And for my other three guests, you're new for me, so welcome to the Buzz and being on with me this morning. So we're going to get right into Future Focus Pathways. What exactly is the initiative, and what led Enterprise Cayman to create it?
Okay, well, I'll start with that one. So the program is about it's essentially an employer side driven apprenticeship / on the job training program designed to help internal to enable internal upskilling for people who are already in a role at a company, but the employer would like to move them into a new role. And in connection with that, they need to deliver some training and some hard skills and other kind of content, if you will. And also for a company that might be looking to move someone from outside, a new person, into a new role with the company. So again, it's employer side driven, and that's a distinguishing characteristic of the program in that, or for the purpose of, not just providing training to people that we hope that they will find useful, actually putting them in a position where they are training for a role. Now, obviously, there's no guarantees that it's going to work out, 100% of the time. But that's I'll come on to that in a moment. The program, to kind of break it into its components, it includes a tailored train on the job, hands-on training program designed by the employer in connection with the particular role that they're hoping to fill. Some soft skills training, which I think we all know that's something that everyone could use some help with, and that we deliver that through our partnership with Connect by Nova. Hard skills training through our partnerships with Dion Training and CompTIA, and that hard skills training is certificate based, which means that when you've completed the hard skills training, you have something that can go on your CV. You've completed, maybe you've completed an AWS course or something like that, but it goes on your CV, and that's permanent. It's relevant to the role that you're training for, but it's also a permanent certification. Well, renewable, of course, but it's a certification that you can carry with you no matter what happens after that. And then we've also built in some networking opportunities into the program as well, for the purpose of allowing people to get completely engrossed within the particular, typically technology, but within the particular industry. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes these programs are lacking, in that you don't find yourself kind of immersed in the industry, getting a feel for what it's all about, making connections, maybe meeting someone that will become a mentor to you, or somebody that might offer you a job down the road, or just somebody you might become a colleague. And the idea there is to really immerse people with in the particular industry, so that they feel like they get the true sense that they belong there. I've come back to some that I said I would come back to. The larger goal is for the candidates to secure a job placement, a promotion, a raise, depending on their particular circumstances. But the granular goal, because that may or may not work out in every case, but the granular goal is to create an initiative that is it's an effective training program that enhances a candidate's skills and therefore enhances their employability and their career prospects going forward. So even if the candidate doesn't find themselves in a new role as a result of the program, they're now they've upskilled, and they're a more attractive candidate, a more qualified candidate for other roles that they might be interested in.
Well, I like it, especially the upskilling part, because the more you invest in yourself, your stock goes up, right? Your personal stock, your capacity, all that goes up. And it's important because technology is also changing. There's new methods of doing things. We're learning new stuff as it comes to our job. So how we came in, or what we learned along the years, it's not where we're going to stop at. So I like the idea, especially that you're also offering this with upskilling for people in current positions. So just to get this right, the program is almost designed for anybody, people who are already in positions that are looking for a promotion or to gain better experience or skills in an industry, people who are just entering an industry, university or college students.
Yeah, that's correct, and actually that's what Deidre is doing.
All right. You're in charge of recruitment for this.
Yeah.
What's this process like for you?
Well, I'm a part of the program, like I'm going through it. So I work at Cayman Enterprise City. I started in the marketing department, and through the Future Focus Pathways program, I'm now working towards an operations manager position. So right now I'm the operations officer, and going through the program, I'm working towards like a higher position.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that you were also part of the program. And I know you as an employee at Cayman Enterprise City, so and part of the marketing team who I'm always in contact with. So that's great. So for you, how have you seen this opportunity build you?
I think that this opportunity specifically is so beneficial because of the training aspect, the hands-on training that you get. I think, like, as opposed to maybe other training where you just have to do a certification, the hands-on training part of it helps give you a clear understanding of what the job that you're working towards will look like, because you're actively doing projects that you will end up doing once you get the promotion, hopefully. So it's very beneficial to me in that sense, because you kind of don't have to guess what the job will look like. You kind of are already getting that experience and getting to see that firsthand. So I've loved it so far.
Awesome. Okay, well, I know the CEO, so I'll put a word in for you when it comes to the operations manager promotion position.
Thank you so much.
So last month we discussed pathways in tech here on the show, and that has some training courses offered by Enterprise Cayman as well. So how does Future Focus differ or complement the Pathways in Tech program?
So the Future Focus pathways themselves are a component of the the components that you spoke about at the last. They're one piece of the puzzle. Added to that, of course, is the on-the-job training, the soft skills, and the networking.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I've been looking at one of those courses myself, so you might have another student join the Pathways into Tech program that you're offering there. What kind of training and industry recognized certifications are available through these programs?
The ones that we have now, and keep in mind that we can, if a particular employer comes along and says, well, I would like my hard skills program to focus on these things, we can create that through our partnerships with Dion Training and CompTIA. But at the moment, the off-the-shelf ones that we offer are project management, computer support specialist, network systems administrator, and programming. But again, even within programming, that means different things to different people, depending on the languages that they use. And so it all gets tailored, and to the extent that a program required to be built from scratch, then we work with the employer basically. So this is what we need our candidates to be proficient in. So okay, well let's put together the underlying certification courses as and then that becomes your particular pathway.
Okay, now I know that Cayman Enterprise City has invested quite a bit in understanding what the needs of the job market is in Cayman and what the future needs will be. And you also partner with many different employers in understanding what skills they're going to need from the labor force that's out there. So what are, I guess, when it comes to those future needs in the job market, what is standing out to you the most in terms of different industries that are going to become a lot more attractive in Cayman?
Well, if I may, maybe speak about, if you could speak about a little bit about what's happening in the technology space locally.
Certainly. So technology is expanding as we know it with the sort of entrance of AI, and we have a lot of traditional older technology on island as well. And what we're finding is we need a lot of employees to be trained in very specific pathways that allow them to coexist with the existing technology on island, as well as the emerging sort of new trends that are coming across from other places like AI. We're seeing a lot of projects that are with our existing partners on island that perhaps people aren't yet skilled in because it's brand new. Something that the partnership that we're trying to have here with Future Focus is to assist us basically as a company in training up employees either to sort of really engage with those or to bring in brand new sort of specialists for those positions who can help us as a company and kind of, like you say, invest in themselves and kind of become integral to us.
Okay. Well, I want to hear more about the partnerships, and I know we have another one in studio with us. We've got to go to a quick commercial break right now, and then when we come back, we're going to hear more about the program.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Not sure where you fit in tech? Pathways in Tech by Enterprise Cayman can help you find your route. Whether you're interested in project management, computer support, or network systems, this program helps individuals explore practical, career-focused skills for real opportunities in Cayman's tech and innovation sector. It's beginner-friendly, job-relevant, special economic zone connected, and scholarships are available. Your path in tech starts here. Visit enterprisecayman.ky to apply today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. In studio with me, I have from Cayman Enterprise City, Charlie Kirkconnell, CEO of Cayman Enterprise City and Chairman of Enterprise Cayman. Deidre Tulo, Operations Officer at Cayman Enterprise City, Michael McNair, Head of Professional Services at Kirk IT, and Shannon Thompson, Software Developer at Ritas International SEZC. I'm always going to get it wrong. Don't ask me why. All right, Shannon, I'd like to know what your relationship is with Cayman Enterprise City in terms of this program, how you've partnered up with them.
Yeah, so it's a twofold kind of relationship. So one, we do have an intern in that we got through one of Cayman Enterprise City's programs, and he's currently in the Future Focused program, going through the AWS Solutions Architect certificate. And in a way, this is kind of helping to train our intern into what we need him to do in the actual space. So he's getting an idea of the work that we do, as well as upskilling himself and learning how to go into the workplace and kind of think at the level that you need to, especially with tech moving in the way that it does. So it's less about just seeing, okay, little things that you can code, but it's really about how are you going to build solutions for people? How are you going to build solutions to users that you have? So this program is helping to kind of get the information as well as the training that's necessary and the hands-on experience as he's working with us to build that. And once again, we're looking for more workers in Ritas, and this is a part of that process. So we're looking for other software developers, other solution architects, and the idea that we can both find new people through this program as well as train them in the specific areas that we particularly need helps a lot.
And for the candidates that you're looking for, do they have to have any experience already, or can they come in green, absolutely not knowing anything?
I mean, you can come in green. At this point, we have AI, we have other means of kind of showing you where we want you, where we want you to go. And the idea of it is that we want to build people. So we want them to come in to learn something, to be able to take away something as well. So at the end of the day, it's continuous learning. So one way or the other, you're going to be upskilled.
I like it. I'd love to talk more to you about it because you're a young woman in tech here and a software developer, and it would be great to hear your story and how you got involved. But we don't have that much time on this segment to go there. But Mike, I want to ask you as well when it comes to the relationship that Kirk IT has with Cayman Enterprise City. And as Charlie was emphasizing, that the training is really employer-led. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at your training, like your immediate needs, how are you shaping your training?
So we've worked with sort of an internal training matrix throughout my time at Kirk IT, and what this is allowing us to do is kind of work with a partnership to not only help us supply candidates, but provide training and time for training for sort of new young employees who are coming in. I think supporting that's important because it benefits both us and the employee themselves. We get them to invest both in their training and sort of get their CV up to par, as well as us being able to benefit from that skill as an organization. It allows us to work directly with future focused pathways towards maintaining partnerships that we have in the technology sector. So that kind of close relationship between our organizations really both benefits us and the employee, I find.
So the training isn't going to be kind of one training fits all. It's almost tailored to that particular individual that's coming in.
Absolutely. We look at each individual candidate that's coming in, and we work with Future Focus to build a training plan for that specific person, whether they're what they want to move into is cloud, or they want to move into networking, physical servers and storage, that kind of thing. We can tailor courses for them and get them trained into what career they want to follow, as well as the skills that we need them to have. So we find it's mutually beneficial.
Okay, now I did a project management course, for example, in university. How do you assess somebody's actual skills if they're coming in and saying, I know project management, I did this already, and you just take their word for it, but then you realize, no, they don't have these basic skills that are needed. So how do you assess people's skill level when they first come to you?
So we employ like a technical review during the interview process. And for project management, for example, there are certifications that you can get, like the ITIL certification, which is globally recognized. It is really teaches you kind of what that is all about as a subject. And then we find that as long as people are retaining that information and can really bring it to the company and employ it, then we're usually happy. But for most of us, it's about drive. If someone's still wanting to take the certification and still trying to get there, to me, it's more about the drive of the individual and how much they want to get out of the role as well as what they already have.
I agree with you on that. And a lot of it is intrinsic. Absolutely. Shannon, what about you? How do you guys rate us? Sorry again. How do you assess an individual's skill level when they're first coming in?
So part of it is just looking at how they think about a problem. So the role that I am currently in has developed so much from where it was when I first joined Readers. We've kind of moved away from, as I mentioned before, just programming to really looking into how can we deliver like small little projects, small little deliverables that will help in a very specific need. So it's the idea of, can you think about or conceptualize a problem and look at the different steps that you need to take and how you would build that, and actually do the research to find out maybe what technology would be better for what purpose. And it's kind of looking at the whole picture of doing your research, talking to people who need the service, and then moving forward into implementation and actually delivering. And then it's that continuous learning.
Okay.
So
it's a little trickier on your end on how you're assessing people. All right, Charlie, Cayman Enterprise City says 57% of the positions advertised through its job portal last year fell into global growth job categories. I'm not familiar with the term global growth, the job categories. So can you explain that a little bit, where that stat's coming from and what that tells you where employment opportunities in Cayman are heading to?
Yeah, so I think that means just roles, industry that are in demand.
Okay.
So and for Cayman, that includes and globally technology, financial services, and those types of roles. So Cayman is actually very well positioned in the global economy because we have a number of the high growth sectors globally that operate from that are the backbone of our economy. So we're well placed to take advantage of, and that's why I think our number was so high, 57% in those growth industries, is because that is the knowledge and technology space, which is what Cayman Enterprise City focuses on, is one of those growth. That's where our candidates are. That's where we're placing them into. We're placing them in roles within companies that are involved in those particular industry sectors.
How have you been able to measure the success of the program so far?
Well, we use the theory of change. I guess the program, or for want of a better word, it's not. And what that's designed to do is we start by creating logic models that set out what are the things that we're trying to accomplish, and then measurement frameworks as well that we then use to measure against how do we do again how did we perform against the goals that we set for ourselves, and that's how we hold ourselves accountable for the success of our programs.
What about the feedback coming from the partners, organizations, the businesses that have gone through this kind of training program and said, hey, this was absolutely beneficial to our staff. We were able to place, let's say 30 individuals within positions in our company. Do you get that kind of a feedback, or this isn't working, we need to focus on something else?
Yeah, that feedback from the participants in the program, meaning like, for example, the candidates who are the interns and the people that are coming into this new program, but also from the employer as far as how did the program work for you, and we use that. When a program is, like, for example, our summer internship program is over, we'll use that feedback to update the logic models, and then the whole cycle repeats itself on an ongoing basis. So the idea behind the theory of change is that you set out to accomplish a specific goal or goals. You create the steps and the components that you need to accomplish those goals, and then you use the measurement frameworks to tell you how did you do against those goals, and where there's shortcomings in the program, you make changes. Where there are things that are working well, you double down on those, and just a continuous cycle of improving the program and to make it more effective.
Okay, how can employers participate in future-focused pathways, and not only employers, but I guess employees and maybe students who might be interested in joining the program?
Yeah, well, we'd love to hear from anyone who is has an existing role that they'd like to train someone into, and that can be, again, a new person from outside the company or someone internal to your company that you like to put through a program. So anybody that would like to contact us, we'd love to hear from you, as well as we're looking for candidates as well. We're looking for, so for example, Michael is looking for a candidate.
Yep.
They have a particular role that they would like to fill, and we're out there identifying candidates for them to consider. Would love to hear from you. info@enterprisecayman.ky. Is that correct? Okay.
Innovate.
Sorry, innovate at enterprisecayman.ky.
That's why she gets the raise,
the
promotion.
That was a test. So please contact us at innovate@enterprisecayman.ky, or any other way that you might know to contact us, whether you're a candidate or an employer that's interested in getting involved in the program.
All right, Mike, you're looking for a candidate. What role are you looking to fill?
So we're actually going down the computer support specialist route. We're looking for an addition.
Did you say computer sports?
Support specialist. Sorry.
That might be me. Okay.
Someone who can come in and kind of learn a lot of the intrinsic stuff around computer support. So, fixing desktop software support, printing, all those kind of base building blocks. We tend to bring an intern in to do that, and we've successfully done that a couple of times already. And we're looking to bring someone in who will essentially assist our support team, give them some base CompTIA knowledge, give them some Microsoft certification, and again, we're building that role directly with Charlie and Future Focus Pathways. It's been really good so far.
That's amazing. I love it. We're just over the show time right now, but if there's any last words you want to leave with our listeners, I'll give you the opportunity to do so. Whoever wants to start. Or wrap.
Well, I think I said my call to action. Please contact us at innovate@enterprisecayman.ky if you're an employer or a candidate that might be interested in getting involved in the program.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for joining me on The Buzz this morning and for sharing your experiences and the candidate roles that both Kirk IT has and
Ritas.
Thank you, Shannon, for helping me right there. The open roles that you guys both have that you're looking to fill. So get in touch by emailing innovate@enterprisecayman.ky. Yes?
Correct.
All right, promotion coming for me too. All right, everybody, I'll be back with you on Thursday on The Buzz. Have a great rest of your day. The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. And Cayman Enterprise City, Cayman's innovation hub. Discover your opportunity at enterprisecayman.ky. And Kirk Home Center, they've got a great deal in store for you.
Radio Cayman 89.9.